Today's Bondi Blue shenanigans are brought to you by Squarespace. But more on that in a bit. This is an obscure bit of early 2000s technology, which I've been trying to find for years to power a really ridiculous build. It's a Sonnet HARMOni, and it's an accelerator for the earliest of the G3 iMacs, and it's meant to double this thing's speed. But buying this was actually a huge gamble for kind of a weird reason. If it works though, we're going to get some crazy performance out of this pokey machine, and we might even be able to overclock this thing. So stay tuned. And if you enjoy looking back at a simple and innocent time in home computing and then defiling those computers with ridiculous upgrades, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. So this is a build that I've wanted to do for a very long time, but the accelerator needed to pull it off is really hard to come across. And even when it does come up for sale, chances are it's not going to work in your machine. We'll talk about that more in a bit when we take a closer look at this card itself. But first, let's go over what it is we're actually going to build today. This machine is a Bondi Blue iMac G3, Revision B. It's one of the very first iMacs that Apple released in 1998 at the direction of a newly reinstated Steve Jobs. The original iMac G3 in its original configuration only existed for a very short time. In January 1999, it was updated rather significantly for Revision C, and it actually removed some features like the infrared port, and more importantly, the mezzanine upgrade slot inside. Now, one of the really cool things about these original iMacs is that the CPU is on a daughter card with the RAM. And Sonnet took full advantage of this by just making a whole new CPU card with a much faster processor. And it's just a drop-in replacement. But this is actually more than just a CPU. This Sonnet daughter card has a daughter card of its own, which adds FireWire, and it has a new side panel to accommodate the new port. It's actually a pretty radical transformation, but there's kind of a weird catch. Sonnet couldn't use Apple's proprietary ROMs on their new processor cards, so there's a clever workaround. There's special software you have to install before you install this card that makes a copy of your original ROM and then flashes that ROM to this card. And that's pretty cool, but it also means that the card is now tied to your revision of iMac. Moving a used card to a different revision of iMac won't work, at least as far as I've read, but I have another revision iMac G3 and we can test that later. Right after this word about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Create a fast, beautiful, and rich web experience for your business or brand using Squarespace's powerful all-in-one platform. It's really easy to get started. Like, say I wanted to build a website all about the history of Macintosh acceleration, a topic I'm quite fond of. Not only could I build it in minutes with Squarespace, but I could do it without a single line of code. There's a ton of beautiful templates that I could choose to start from, and from there, it's simple to build a great looking site that's also fast, responsive, and works great on mobile devices. With Squarespace's extensive built-in toolset, I can also optimize for SEO, manage a mailing list, check my analytics, and much more, all geared towards managing your entire web presence. So check out squarespace.com/actionretro today for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use code ActionRetro to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, so let's take a quick gander at the card itself. Still inside its incredibly 2000s packaging. Just look at this early 2000s clip art. Amazing. This is the 500 megahertz version of this card. It also came in a 600 megahertz, which, yeah, good luck finding that because I sure haven't. And yeah, this should be overclockable if my friend in Japan is correct. And, well, he is correct because he has one of these and he overclocked it. Ooh. Important information. Read me first. Yeah, so this is saying that you have to install this software and run it first because this is what takes a snapshot of your ROM for the card. And yeah, it's not going to work if it doesn't have the ROM from your original card flashed onto it. And voila! Look at that. Still sealed the two boards. We have the processor board and the FireWire daughter board here. Still sealed, at least it certainly looks that way. This feels factory fresh. Yeah, the glue is still intact. The folds are still intact. No stretching. I really think this is brand new. Here is the new side panel with the cool Sonnet branding on it. Oh, that is so awesome. Yeah, and space for the FireWire to come out because, of course, the revisions A through D did not have FireWire. And some other cabling here. I don't know what that's for. I guess we'll have to read the instructions. Not something I normally do. Oh, this is so exciting. I can't believe I found one of these. Now, I currently have macOS 10.3 installed on here, but it's on the original spinning hard drive. So I want to take this apart and actually install macOS 10.4 on an SSD and I guess max out the RAM. It's going to be a little bit of a process because we have to put X post facto on there, but I'm just going to fast forward through that, maybe do a little bit of a montage. Now, it is a little annoying to get down to the hard drive in these because it is underneath the CD-ROM here. It's actually these two little hooks here that hold the hard drive cage in place. You have to pull them, well, push back so that they disengage and then pull up. It's very annoying. All right, good a time as any to use our unfortunately numbered A55 drive. And yes, that's totally how I read that, A55. And a totally normal combination of two adapters here. One to go to IDE from SATA and then one to go from laptop to desktop. All right, I forgot to put the optical drive back in because that's just how I roll. But let's fire this thing up and see if there's anything installed on that drive already. Nope, doesn't seem to be anything we can boot from, but hey, I guess it works. All right, booting macOS 921 installer from an external LG DVD-ROM drive. I did not expect that to actually work, but here we are. And install. All right, so we're gonna need the CD out of here to run that software. And yeah, I don't actually know what to expect. Let me just double check in the old instructions here. None of this actually talks about the software. Yeah, interesting. This guide just goes through taking the computer apart. No mention of the software. I guess that's why they had to include this little purple sheet here. So yeah, let's run this software. Sonnet, simply fast. All right, Harmony installer 1.1. Power on the computer, wait 30 to 45 seconds. During this time, you'll hear a series of tones. That sounds frightening. All right. Okay, so these instructions are slightly confusing, but I think I have the general idea. It wants us to, of course, replace this card here with our lovely Sonnet card. The part I'm not quite sure about is how the daughter card comes off this daughter card to be the FireWire port. I know we replace this with this, but I think we'll figure it out as we go. I reuse our RAM, of course. Oh, here we go. breaking out our minty fresh Sonnet Accelerator. Oh, I'm shaking. Oh, look at it. Daughter card, still sealed. That certainly looks new old stock, never opened to me. Yep, look at that, breaking the seal. Oh, look at it. Oh, it's beautiful. There's the pins for Firewire. It's just so weird to see such a prominent IBM logo going into this iMac G3. But anyway, let's do it. Get some RAMs in there. Oh, there he is. All right, I have this thermal pad here. Though now I worry if that's a little too tall. Let's see. Oh no, that fits great. Awesome. All right, now the instructions want us to remove this side panel here. Look at this. Brand new, never before seen. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, and this makes much more sense now that I'm looking at this together. So, a few alterations needed in here. First, this screw comes out, and in its place goes this standoff. Oh, how cool is that? Okay, one last step. We need to run this little parasite wire here, which taps into HD power, like so. And then runs all the way across into the Firewire card. Nice. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. All right, so on first boot here, we should get some uncomfortable beeps as it flashes the ROM to the new card. Hey! All right, well, I was certainly sweating while it was making all of those beeps. I had no idea how many it was going to make, but it chimed and it's booting into macOS. And it's going pretty fast. Sweaty palms. Why do computers give me sweaty palms? Okay. The installation of the processor upgrade card was successful. Thank God. Oh, this is exciting. Let's see. Apple System Profiler says 500 megahertz. Oh, yes. Sonnet HARMOni, it works. It's alive. Such an impossible upgrade to get because it can't be used. Here it is. It's alive. I'm so excited. All right, well, I did take some benchmarks using this totally legitimate version of MacBench 4 before the upgrade here. Let's take some post-upgrade benchmarks and see just how much performance we've gained. All right, look at that. That is a heck of an improvement. The processor 50% faster, floating point more than doubled, disk speed even. This 100% here on the stock Bondi is from the SSD, so this processor has vastly increased the disk speed as well. Graphics performance 32% increased. CD-ROM access 7% increased. That's amazing. This this is so cool. So incredibly cool. Oh my goodness. We might as well make sure that the FireWire works. All right, I've got the old FireWire SSD here, which we can plug in. And I'm curious if this will provide enough power out of that Sonnet upgrade to power this, or if I need to plug it in. Oh yeah. Although there, oh nope, there's power. Look at that. Oh, there it is. All of my FireWire partitions, they're all here. Oh my goodness. I am so excited. I cannot believe it. It just works. It works great. So I guess next step is, let's see if this will now boot into Tiger nicely. So we'll just X post facto here. I'll boot into macOS 10, which is already installed. Let's do it. Okay, well, it's just been spinning like this for like 15 minutes. I don't think it's going to actually boot into Tiger. So probably I should try reinstalling Tiger from here now that we have a reasonable processor speed. So let's reset this. Clear the PRAM. We'll go back into macOS 9. And let's see if we can actually boot from the FireWire drive. Okay, so this install CD here is on the FireWire SSD. Let's see if we can boot from it. Nope, it does not seem to like that. Okay, well, apparently it also doesn't want to boot off of my totally legitimate CD set of Tiger, which it definitely booted from before. So I'm wondering if it's just a setting on the SSD adapter. Maybe it's set to master or something and it shouldn't be. But I can futz with that off camera. Most important thing is the accelerator works and it is darn fast. Okay, so that was freaking awesome. Not only did we install this nearly unobtainable upgrade, but it performed as promised. This thing is more than doubled in speed. I mean, raw processor speed is up 50%. Floating point performance is more than 100% improved. That's exciting. And if you like those kinds of shenanigans, check out the Action Patreon because I do full bonus videos there now. And yeah, for the next bonus video, we're going to do two things actually. We're going to try out this upgrade card in a different iMac G3. This lovely Grape Revision D and see if it's really true that the upgrade card is tied to the revision it was installed in. I'm really interested to find out. We're also going to do a little bit of a repair job because I saw this flickering again during filming and yeah, I'm pretty sure that the fixes that we did in the last video on this thing didn't hold. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace the flyback transformer. So we'll do that in the bonus episode too. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more shenanigans like this, please subscribe down below. And thank you very much for watching. And a special thanks to Alex Hoffman, Andrew Nicholson, Camila Noceda, Chris Allegretta, Chris Biggs, Chris Calderon, Chris Nelson, Control-Alt-Reese, Daniel Hubbard, Frodo Jedi, Gaspar Heller, Greg Hrutke, Harris Brody, Jason Papaz, Justin Hemmings, Justin Reed, Lyle Truid, Michael Mulhern, Paul Spencer, Ryan, Scott Cedarbaum, Scott Thompson, Sutek, Tom Woodfin, Unknown Soldier 41, who are my highest tiered patrons, and all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make these shenanigans possible.